this is Dana Gardner, Principal Analyst at Interarbor Solutions, and you're listening to BriefingsDirect. Our next Business Network's innovation discussion focuses on procurement with a purpose. We'll explore how Step Up for Students, a nonprofit organization in Florida, has collaborated with SAP Ariba to launch MyScholarShop, a digital marketplace for education that bridges the educational gap and levels the playing field for those students most in need. Now assisting some 10,000 K-12 special needs and low-income students, the user-friendly marketplace empowers parents and guardians to find and purchase the best educational services for their children. It also helps to maximize scholarship funds to enhance their learning. Joining us to share more about how this first-of-a-kind solution works, we're now welcoming our guests. We're here with Jonathan Beckham. He's Vice President of Technology Strategy and Innovation at Step Up for Students in Jacksonville, Florida. Welcome, Jonathan.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
We're also here with Mike McGuire, Global Vice President of New Market Development at SAP Ariba. Welcome, Mike.
Welcome, Dana. Thank you very much.
Glad to have you here. We're also here with Katie Swingle, Florida Tax Credit Scholarship recipient. Welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Let's start with you, if you don't mind, Mike. There's no doubt that technology has transformed procurement. We've gone from an emphasis on efficiency and spend to looking for better user experiences, more capabilities. But we're also entering a new era where we see that businesses are trying to do well as, in addition to that, to do good. So you had a very personal revelation about this a few years ago. Tell us about why doing well and good can go hand in hand.
Yeah, well, I was thrilled to have the opportunity to work with Jonathan and the Step Up for Students team because for the last 19 years, I have been one of those parents. My wife and I, Carol, have a 19-year-old daughter, Allison, and there's no solutions out there that help you optimize the spend for extra things like tuition, educational supplies, and services. You go to a hospital for a surgery or needing medications, there's always somebody there to help you through the process. But when you go into this world of tuition reimbursement and educational optimization, there's no way and there's no guidance for how that spend should be done well. And so this is where, I think it is the first approach to where really B2B is actually truly becoming business to consumer by opening up to parents the network of supplier optimization.
Tell us a little bit about how cloud applications in particular and the way that the SAP Ariba platform is structured and architected that lends itself to sort of this marketplace plus benefit.
Well, I think, networks and cloud apps at their very core are about connecting people, processes, and information in a way that's simple and transparent to all that are involved, with an outcome of making smart choices. We've done this for multinational corporations for years, and they end up saving money on their bottom line by having information to make smart choices. Now we are doing the exact same thing to optimize the bottom line for families.
Jonathan, at your organization, you probably face a number of the same kinds of challenges that businesses do. They don't want to be so manual. They don't want to be bogged down and time-consuming. They need to broaden their horizon and see all the assets and then be able to analyze things better. But was there any other particular problem that you were trying to solve, or are you just like any other business when it comes to using marketplaces like the Ariba one?
Well, absolutely. We're trying to solve a lot of problems by optimizing that process for our families. It's very important to us that we chose a partner that provided a really great user interface and experience. We're all about not just optimizing our bottom line like you think of in traditional corporations, but we're about optimizing that experience, and any funds or any resources that we gain, we're about putting those back into the families and investing those and helping them to accelerate their educational path or accelerate their educational learning goals. And so that was really something that we were looking to do and use this process to help.
Tell us a little bit about your organization and then MyScholarShop, how that came about. Was this something that depended on electronic digital marketplace, or was it something you could do without it but that is now greatly enhanced?
Yeah, so at Step Up for Students, we provide scholarships for low-income and special needs students in the kindergarten through 12th grade. And as part of that, we administer a program called an educational savings account. And that allows parents and students to customize their learning options, to go out and buy instructional materials, to go out and buy like curriculum or tuition fees or technology. And as part of that process, it's largely been a reimbursement process for families. They go out, they purchase fund using their own funds, and then seek reimbursement for that. And so we were really searching for a platform, something to change that model for us. Number one was the most important thing, as I mentioned before, was just really helping our families not have to take that money out of pocket. And then number two, connecting them with high quality providers and suppliers so they can find better options for them. And so that was really important for us, and that's part of the process that went through.
Mm-hmm. So, of course, in a business environment, it's matching buyers and sellers and then bringing value add to that discussion, the collaboration. This also enhances the ability for people who are looking to find the right place to donate and to provide support. How has that helped on the seller, if you will, side, the supplier side, when it comes to nonprofits and charitable organizations? Do they see this as something as beneficial as the recipients?
Absolutely. So we've had a lot of great conversations with suppliers that have approached us, and some that we've approached directly to work with. There's a lot of terrific products that are out there for students with special needs that we wanted to bring into this network, and some of them are already on the Ariba network, which was great for us. But at the same time, one of the things that we look at is optimizing our spend and looking at it from a reporting standpoint and how we can negotiate better pricing and using the Ariba network to do that for us. Mm-hmm. And so when we engage with suppliers, if we can get free shipping with suppliers, if we can get discounts and payment terms and things like that, those are all things that we can pass on directly to our families and our students. We're a nonprofit. We're not looking to make extra money. We're looking to reduce the cost and reduce the labor and the process for our families that are on our program to do that.
Katie, your son Gregory is a Florida Tax Credit Scholar. Tell us a little bit about how you came to learn about this and why it's been beneficial and impactful for you and your family.
Yes. My son Gregory is actually a Gardner Scholarship recipient, a little bit different. That's the special needs side of what Step Up for Students does. My son is diagnosed with autism. He has been since he was 3 years old, so it's been quite a journey for us. Lots of ups and downs. And what we came to find through our journey was that he needed the right educational environment and he needed the right educational tools if we were going to make progress. And unfortunately, for many, public school is just not the right option at that time, especially those early years when you're trying to really help them the most. And so Step Up for Students, like he said, is the administrator of our scholarship, and that's how I became involved with them. We go and we spend our money on tuition or on products, and we've also done different therapies for Gregory, and then we pay for them, and then Step Up for Students, because he's a recipient of the scholarship, reimburses us for those, and it's been absolutely life-changing for us. Once we got Gregory into the right environment, with the school that he's in, with the right therapist, with the right products, it felt like everything started to come together. All of the disappointment that we had had over and over and over again over the years was starting to go away, and it was exciting. It was also a little scary because it was, I guess it wasn't scary, is not the right word. I was meeting my son for the first time, to be quite honest. We had so many roadblocks, and all of a sudden this child was blossoming, and it was because we had the financial means from Step Up and from the scholarship to put him in the right environment where he could blossom. And it's been amazing ever since then. The trajectory for my child's life has changed. We went from pretty dire prognosis to, I don't know where he's going to be now, but I know it's going to be great. I'm really excited to be a part of this. I'm really excited to be in on the ground level for this.
And for those in our audience who might not be that familiar with autism, it does create a great amount of improvement when the right processes, services, behavioral therapies are brought to bear. For those who don't understand, autism is a little bit a different way of being wired, perhaps, is a way to say it, but that you can still work with that, and these young folks can learn new tricks to solve problems that they might not have been able to solve on their own. So getting those services is huge. Let's go over to Jonathan again. Are we just talking about scholarships, or are you also allowing families and individuals to find the services? So are we at the point where we're linking services in the marketplace as well as some of the funding, or both, or how does that work?
Well, that's a great question. So one of the things that we do at Step Up for Students is we have an amazing department that's called the Office of Student Learning. And these are educators, tried and true, that have been in classrooms, and administrators that also work with professional development with teachers throughout the state of Florida. And as part of that, they're helping us to identify some of these high-quality suppliers that are available out there. And they're really helping us with the Ariba guided buying platform to kind of curate and customize that platform for individuals. So, we have great visions that we shared with Ariba, and we're very happy to have a partner in that, but helping to make recommendations around some of those products and services. So, for example, if Katie and her family identifies a great therapist or a great technology tool that can help her son, then why can't we make that recommendation to another family in a similar situation? So I think of sort of that Amazon-like experience. People that purchase this may also be interested in purchasing this. And so identifying those suppliers that are really high quality, those products and services that are out there, and then working with our families to help make recommendations for those.
And Mike, as we know from the business world, a marketplace can develop organically, but then can go viral. The more buyers there are, then the more sellers step up to the plate. The more sellers there are, the richer the environment, the more viable the economics are, and so on and so forth. Are we starting to see that with autism? Some of the studies show, and this is a fast-changing business of understanding autism, but somewhere 1 in 40 boys or males are autistic, and perhaps 1 in 90 or so are females or girls are autistic. So we're talking a fairly large portion of our society and around the world. So how does this work as a marketplace, and is it large enough to be in some ways sustainable?
I think it absolutely is. When we think about the Ariba network, we're about like-minded people and like-minded causes optimizing their goals. And in the area of disabilities that I've seen, technology is a godsend for these kids growing up in this generation. So when you think of technologies, connectiveness, which the Ariba network is all about, but just overall in the disabled community of driverless cars, okay, all of the freedom that will be available to this generation of differently abled children that as they become adults is just going to open up complete independence that the prior generation never seen.
Mm-hmm. And we're not going to go too far afield from talking about MyScholarShop and autism. But it seems to me if this works for an autism marketplace, that there are many other flavors or variations on the theme, whether it's other sorts of disabilities, learning challenges.
An example that I mentioned this to John when we were in Nashville. I am a board member of the Massachusetts ARC, and we spend most of our time working on policy and legislature for independent skills and options, more for the full spectrum of lifespan. When you become 18 and you're out of the school system, you have the same exact requirements to optimize SSDI, Social Security disability payments. The same exact challenges of there's an entitlement that the young adult gets at 18 years old, probably with some help from their parents. It goes into their own account because they're young adults. How do you optimize that spend, right? How do you optimize that for the different things? And you just don't want to make it be like, hey, a dinner out here, a dinner out there. There's life skills, there's tools. I believe that the solution here, MyScholarShop, could be extended well beyond K through 12 because it's a lifetime of spend optimization for intellectually challenged people.
All right, great. Jonathan, this was introduced just this last January 2018. Your implementation on a larger basis is slated for the 2018-2019 school year. So what sort of numbers of students, size of total value are we talking about, and where should we expect this to go in the next year or two?
Yeah, absolutely. So the program we're talking about with Katie is the Gardner program, and we have around 10,000 students there. That's about $100 million in scholarships that we utilize for that. But next year we're actually looking to bring in what you referred to earlier, our Florida tax credit program as well. And so these are families that are lower income families, and those numbers look to be around 100,000 students, and we're actually around $630 million in spend this year. So as we grow with this program and we look for high quality suppliers and providers, we look to bring both of those together ultimately so that we can use all of that data, use all of those recommendations to help many, many more families.
Mm-hmm. And scope beyond Florida? Is this going to be a state, regional, national? How does it grow from Florida?
So we do have a subsidiary in Alabama. We also work with the state of Illinois. We've worked with other states in the past, and we absolutely have plans to help provide this service and to help expand this nationwide so that we can help many, many more students.
Mike, any more to offer in terms of how this expands beyond its base?
Well, I think one of the things that expands beyond its base is, again, its connectiveness through the network. And this is all what is going to unleash availabilities and capabilities for not only people of intellectual needs, but for elderly. I mean, we talk about every piece of the population has a need for an assistance like this.
Katie, any thoughts about where you'd like to see it go or how you think people should be aware of it?
Right. Well, just adding to what Jonathan said, I mean, Step Up for Students and other organizations are trying to spread the word about educational choice and education savings accounts specifically, like mine, Gardner, or the Florida Tax Scholarship. There's states that don't have anything at all available to families like this. I am so blessed to live in Florida, which has been one of the more progressive states to offer this kind of service. So I hope that the success of the network gets people talking across the nation and then thus pushing their legislators to start looking into this because, like I said, I'm just a Florida mom, but there's a mom in California or Washington State who has no options, and I hope that she will hear about this and be able to push her legislators to open this up to even more families.
Mm-hmm. Jonathan or Mike, this also strikes me as a really great example of a public-private cooperation of leveraging a little bit of what government can offer, but also support, financial support, and a marketplace in the public sector. Let's just tease that out a little bit.
Yeah, so I think, as I think through this a lot, traditionally when a company buys procurement software, it is being justified based upon all the savings of getting rid of maverick spend, all spend under management, all these type of things. All that's what the ROI is all based upon. The key piece of that ROI, too, is adoption by end users. And what we're finding now as we go into the mid-market with good partners like Permacati and Step Up for Students, you can't force adoption, okay? But the only way you get the savings that you intended and the ROI is if everybody is a procurement user and everybody has a user buying experience that is very natural and actually fun. So we're now in an environment here at Step Up where it's not about, hey, are people in HR using the Ariba system? Are people, the sales guys using the Ariba system? Their end users are thousands of moms and dads, okay? And those moms and dads have to have an experience just like they're buying from home, buying at any website. And if it's not that fun, if it's not that easy, it's not going to be used, and the whole pyramid of results will break down.
Sure, it's Metcalfe's law. The network's as powerful as the number of people on the network, and you have to have the right user experience and return and adoption for that to take off. You bet. Let's go back, though, Jonathan, to that public-private sector. How does this work both in terms of local governments, state governments, but also in the private sector?
Well, I think Katie hammered it in a little bit there as well. So this is the way that we see educational choice throughout the country happening right now. You see a lot of states that don't have any options out there for their students. You see some that are running them from the government side of things, and then you see some that are very successful, like Step Up for Students, that's running that's legislated to have an opportunity for these educational choice programs, but it's running it as a very slim nonprofit. We only take 3% of our funds to administer our program. We're a very high Charity Navigator rated program. So we have an organization that's really looking to empower our families, empower our students, and use our funds the best way that we can. And then we're able to find really high-quality partners like SAP Ariba to help us implement these things. So you put all those things together, and I think you have an amazing program that really helps families.
Mm-hmm. Katie, on a practical matter, for other parents who might be listening or reading, and they're intrigued and they have perhaps a special needs student, how might they start to prepare themselves to get ready? Where would you say, with 2020 hindsight, you could begin this process?
Okay, well, let me start with if you're a Florida parent or an Arizona parent or a parent who already is in a state where this is starting to move, know what services your child's going to need. Are they going to need occupational therapy? Are you going to need to read those reviews? Are you going to need to read up a lot on behavior analysis and get some ideas about what your child might need there. I know all of us, any autism parent has shopped for products on multiple websites. Our kids need fidget this, fidget that. They need all kinds of products. Have an idea of where you usually buy those. Is it Learning Exchange? Is it, start having an idea of what your child's going to need with their funds, and really start getting your keywords: occupational therapy, ABA therapy, physical therapy. Know what all those are, because you're going to be reading reviews on the network about them and see how they might be able to help. Your second part of the question was for people who are in states that don't have options like we do. Important. You need to be writing your state representatives. You need to be telling your story just like I am. Sometimes there's a little bit of shame. Sometimes there's a little bit of embarrassment. I'll be honest, my husband still has a hard time saying the word autism. We've been in this game now for 7 years, and he still sometimes can't spit it out. It's time to spit it out. It's time to be honest, and it's time to tell your story. Don't be afraid to tell your story, but the people who need to hear it are your legislators. Your local and state representatives need to know about this, and you need to use states like Florida, use SAP Ariba, MyScholarShop, use those things and say, excuse me, I live in California or I live in Colorado. Why do I not have this option? Look at what this woman is getting in Florida. Look at what this family has in Arizona. I need this here, and why don't we have this? And put the pressure on, and don't be afraid. You have a voice. You are a voter. They're there to represent you, and also give them some enthusiasm about him. Let them meet your child. Bring pictures. I brought pictures of my son. I said, look, this is my child. Please help me. And the legwork has been done by states like Florida, and organizations like Step Up and SAP Ariba. The legwork is done. Now get your voice out there.
I think what Katie's pointing to is this is a very repeatable model, Mike. So we know that doing well and doing good is very important to a lot of businesses now. Any other areas that SAP Ariba is working in that this model works? And we've talked about at other podcasts that we've done about labor issues, about sustainability and ecology issues. Maybe just flesh out a little bit for us how this is not only repeatable, but has extensions into all other areas of doing well and good.
Everyone has a purpose, and every organization has a purpose. If you don't, then you're just wandering in the woods, right? And so what we try to look either at nonprofits or at profits are what are the pieces of your organization that you really want to have an ethical and moral stand with. And that's why we've worked with the United Nations Global Compact for fair and decent work. We work with Made in a Free World to stamp out human trafficking, and people like Maplecraft and Ecovadas for sustainable and ethical supply chains. So all of these things around the world, all of these activities and supply chains can have issues like slave labor, environmental impacts, and tariffs and legal issues as well. We try to make sure that procurement with a purpose is actually in action at SAP Ariba, because we like to oversee what's actually happening, and we have the ability through the network and through the transparency the network brings to actually look, see, measure, and make some change if that's in place.
Well, very good. I'm afraid we'll have to leave it there. We've been listening to a BriefingsDirect discussion focused on procurement with a purpose. And we've learned how MyScholarShop, a digital marketplace that leverages business networks, is powerfully aligning educational resources with those students most in need. So please join me now in thanking our guests. We've been here with Jonathan Beckham, Vice President of Technology Strategy and Innovation at Step Up for Students. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
We've also been here with Mike McGuire, Global Vice President of New Market Development at SAP Ariba. Thank you, Mike.
Thanks very much for the opportunity.
And we've also been here with Katie Swingle. She's the Florida tax creditor for Gardner funding in their scholarship recipient program. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Dana Gardner, Principal Analyst at Interarbor Solutions, your host throughout this series of SAP Ariba-sponsored BriefingsDirect discussions. Thanks again for listening, and do come back next time.